Welcome to our series in Excel. The first lesson we're going to get orientated with Excel. I'll be using a technical preview version of Office 2010 and I'll be using the 2010 Excel from this technical preview edition. As you notice, it has a very similar layout to Office 2007 with some minor changes, and it also has the new layout. Not much has changed between the two editions, except for there's a few different icons on the main home page, and these make our life a little bit easier and makes some functions more accessible. So as we go through this, we'll explore those as well, but we'll be mainly looking at our spreadsheeting skills. So once again, let's get orientated. As you notice, that we are looking at a grid. This grid has what are called columns and also rows. These are very important terms you need to get used to. So if I select C here, you notice that it's highlighted this column. So all these numbers, if we put numbers in here, would be associated with the column C. We also have rows. So if I select 5, you notice that the row is highlighted here, and everything in here belongs to row number 5. Where a column and a row meets in this cell has a reference point. So we always use the column first, which will be B, and then the next one, which is 5. So this cell has a reference point of B5. So where a column and a row meet, we have a cell. Now there's lots and lots of rows in a spreadsheet. If I start scrolling down, you notice the numbers just keep increasing. If you look to the right hand side, the scroll bar just keeps getting smaller and smaller. If I move across to the right, so click down here, it sees 327, start moving to the right, we can move all the way out to Z. But once we get to Z though, it starts lapping and goes AA and then AB, etc. And we can keep moving right across the sheet, and you notice that there is a lot of real estate in this spreadsheet. Now up the top left hand corner, there's actually a little guide here, and you notice that it's got FE327. That's exactly where we are right now, FE and 327. If I want to go back to the very first cell back at A1, I can press in A and then 1 and press enter, and it snaps me back to that cell. So we can actually use this cell here to get us around the spreadsheet. So once again, we have in our spreadsheet columns, we also have rows, and where a column and a row meet, we have what's called a cell. Cells are very important, and this is the containers that we put our information in. The first thing we're going to look at with the information is we're going to place our name in the very first cell in A1. Now in all the spreadsheets that you create, I would like you to place your name. So in my case, I'm going to put Leon Marsden. And then you can actually place in another cell on the same row, you can actually put your tutor in there. And if you wanted to, I can actually put tutor in D and go to cell E and put the tutor initial in if I wanted to, and it will sit there. Now you notice that sometimes your spreadsheets may look a little bit different, and if I close that, you notice that the column is not wide enough, and the cell laps over to another one. If we want it to sit nicely, there's two ways we can do this. We can either click and drag across, and you notice that my cursor changes from an arrow down to a straight line with 2 arrows left and right. The other way of doing it is just to double click this. So click twice and it will go automatically set to a default size or the best fit. So that's an easy way of adjusting things, and not only do they go wider, you can also double click and they'll become smaller. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You notice as I slide, it also gives me a width and a pixel up the top above my cursor to let me know exactly how wide they want to be. If I wanted to, I can highlight all the rows, all the columns here, double click one, and it'll auto fit all those together. If I adjust one, it automatically adjusts them as well. Now not only can I do this to column heights, I can also select rows and apply the same principle to rows. So I'm going to leave it at this stage. So we have columns, we have rows, and we've entered in text. Text is important because it enables us to put a label in. We can't perform mathematical operations on text, so I can't add these two together and produce a result. I could add them together and get them to sit in one cell, but unlike numbers, you can't mix text and numbers together, and we'll explore that a little bit more in the next video. When we're here, we can also go to insert, and once again we can put pictures in a spreadsheet, We can also put charts into a spreadsheet, and you notice in 2010 they've tried to group all the charts together that are very common, and we also have these little fallout menus as well that give us more options than we had before. We can also put text boxes in. We can also here adjust our page layout. Orientation is very important. A lot of spreadsheets will be printed landscape because they fit better on the page being wide. Also, at the moment we're set to portrait, and that is fine. And once I've selected the portrait, you see this little dashed line that just appeared here. This gives me my end of page marker. So in other words, if I actually type in this column here, it'll be on the next page. So sometimes I have to adjust my columns so it fits to one page, and if I scroll down, you'll also find this crosshair here indicates where my page ends, and I can adjust the margins so that it fits better, or I can change the orientation to landscape, and you notice the page is a lot wider but it's a lot shorter. So things like that have already been thought of in this version. Under formulas, we've got a whole lot of different formulas that are available, and we'll work through these. We've got a lot of auto sums and things like that. There's also things about data and sorting and filtering, and there's a whole lot of other standard features that you find in Office as well. So as part of our introduction, another thing we need to remember is how to save. So we can go File, Save As, and we can actually save it somewhere. And also in here we can actually go down to our print version as well, and we can print from here as well.